Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patron, Hunter B. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. I think many of us were expecting this, but Tesla did confirm in their slide deck from this week that most of the new technology that's been integrated to the Cybertruck will also be used in future Tesla vehicles. That does include 48 volt electrical, 800 volt battery, ether loop, bidirectional charging, adaptive air suspension, steer-by-wire, and rear wheel steering. Of course, each individual feature may be used on some future vehicles and not some others. We just don't know for sure at this point. And just a PSA, I would encourage all Tesla investors to read through these slide decks as you have some time. It really doesn't take that long and you can find cool tidbits like this. Tesla utilizes the body structure as the reactive volume for the dual subwoofers. And to everybody that's wondering why Tesla did not include some of these things with the new Model Y, in my opinion, the main reason is because one, the Model 3 and the Model Y share many parts across vehicles, allowing for economies of scale. And the new Model 3 is still on a 12 volt system. And second, Tesla has the entire supply chain already built out for the Model Y on the 12 volt system. So to design everything from scratch and recreate the supply chain would be a huge undertaking, which is why Tesla implemented some of this new technology on a brand new vehicle. But it is now official and not just speculation that these technologies will be used in future Tesla vehicles. A new US Senator from Ohio, Bernie Moreno, will be one to watch as they're calling him the car czar, and he built an empire of auto dealerships for a majority of his career. He's planning to introduce the Automotive Freedom Act, which would eliminate the leasing loophole for consumer EV tax credits while restricting battery production subsidies. He also favors relaxing fuel economy rules and revoking California's authority to set its own clean air standards. Moreno's proposal would eliminate the EV tax credit for new and used EVs. And right now, the word is many in Washington expect some of these items in the Inflation Reduction Act to be debated during a broader budget reconciliation this spring. Moreno wants to leave part of the 45X, which is the production tax credits, but he wants to make it harder for companies to qualify by extending the application of the restrictive content rules that block materials imported from China. He also indicated he's open to a gradual phase out of the EV tax credit, so people are likely to have a heads up for when that will actually go away, if it does. There is no doubt this act and any others like it are going to face significant backlash, but it'll definitely be one to watch. And listen, anything can happen, so do not delay any purchase decisions based on what I'm about to say, but from everything I'm reading right now, it sounds like the EV tax credit should be around until at least this summer. But even if they're repealed sooner, we're likely to get a heads up, as in, okay, you have another few weeks before it's taken away for good. There's been plenty of speculation the past few weeks about trade wars, and it sounds like they may be upon us. Trump confirmed he will impose 25% tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada each, starting at the beginning of February. As of time of recording, they have yet to determine whether oil imports would be included in the policy, which is a big deal because right now, Canada accounts for roughly 60% of all crude oil imports for the US. Trump said there are many reasons for the tariffs, but the two big ones, there are too many people coming into the US from both countries and too many drugs. As you may expect, the president of Mexico has already said if there are US tariffs, Mexico will also raise tariffs. There always seems to be a lot of activity in this area when Trump is president, as the last time he was in office, he actually replaced NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, with the USMCA, which was supposed to be better for America. An economist said we have about $1 trillion worth of trade in round numbers worth of US imports from Mexico and Canada combined. 25% of $1 trillion is $250 billion. Just know this article said that's what's going to come out of the US economy, but the way these tariffs would actually work, the importing companies actually pay these tariffs. Thus, American companies that are importing these goods from Mexico and Canada will actually pay those tariffs to the US government. What this line means is that ordinarily with tariffs, when that happens, the importing companies, American companies, will raise raise the price and pass those tariffs through to the consumer. That's in an attempt for those companies to keep their same margins, but with higher prices, ordinarily you end up with lower demand. And of course, less buying activity could result in lower GDP numbers. Don't forget, this is what's really at the heart of all of this. When the USMCA comes up for renewal next year, the US is expected to press for rules that would do more to encourage factories to produce in the US. So if goods coming into the US from other countries become more expensive, then hopefully those making goods in the US stand to benefit. Another estimate from PwC, they said tariffs would go from $1.3 billion to $132 billion per year on Mexican imports, and from $440 million to $107 billion on Canada's. If this were to stop here, it wouldn't be terrible for Tesla because Tesla doesn't make vehicles in Canada or Mexico that are imported to the US. However, plenty of Tesla's supply chain does indeed come from Canada and Mexico for all of its vehicles. All of Tesla's lineup has between 60 and 75% of the parts for those vehicles coming from the US and Canada. Unfortunately, with the document from NHTSA, that's as granular as it gets, so we don't know specifically how much from Mexico or specifically how much from Canada. It's true, Tesla is the best positioned and most agile company to deal with these changes, but that does not mean it's just going to be an easy thing. And the fact that this is happening while Tesla is trying to ramp the new Model Y, that complicates things even further. The truth is, I could rant about this stuff for a while, just know that this would be a headwind for Tesla's profits going forward. Why? Because certain parts in its supply chain are likely to become more expensive, increasing their cost of goods sold. Or if Tesla looks for new suppliers, then they still have to make sure those new parts are reliable. Sadly, the story likely doesn't stop here. We already have Chrystia Freeland, who's running for office in Canada, saying that Ottawa should target Tesla vehicles and other things as part of its retaliation package to send a message that an attack on Canadian trade would not be cost-free for Trump's allies. She just said there should be a 100% tariff on all Tesla vehicles. Keep in mind, as of tomorrow, February 1st, the prices of Tesla vehicles in Canada are set to go up between $4,000 and $9,000 already. And most importantly here, this 100% tariff number that was shared with the media is likely to be a negotiating tactic trying to instill some fear in Trump. Tesla sells between 40 and 60,000 cars in Canada each year, but if those were hit with a 100% tariff, that number would likely come down significantly. But when it comes to the auto industry specifically, the US may have a bit of leverage, as in 2023, 88% of vehicles made in Canada by value were exported to the US. It'll be interesting because yes, the Canadian auto market is very reliant on the US, but the US is very reliant on certain things from Canada, a big one being energy. So far, Mexico hasn't talked as specifically about potential retaliatory tariffs, but will likely have something by next week. And I would also add, there is still a chance that in the next few weeks, these tariffs are ultimately removed if Canada and Mexico agree to do something about the number of people and drugs flowing from their countries to the US. We know Tesla has supplied the Canadian market with vehicles from Giga Shanghai in the past, but we have to remember, Canada has 100% tariffs on EVs made in China. We'll likely have more concrete information about these tariffs next week, and specifically any retaliation tariffs from Canada or Mexico, and at that point we can talk about more impacts to Tesla. Because for now, a lot of this is just speculation and negotiation. We won't cover it today, but yes, companies like GM, Ford, Stellantis all make vehicles in Canada and Mexico for the US market, so this would definitely harm them as well. The other day I mentioned some of these Chinese EVs and their charging speeds and how they are quite impressive, although they may come with some trade-offs down the line. With great timing, again, Out of Spec just put out this video testing the Zeekr 7X showing its charging speed. You can see at 36% state of charge, the battery was charging at 409 kilowatts. And at 91% SOC, it was still charging at 161 kilowatts. They went from 10% to 80% in under 10 minutes. For what it's worth, the warranty on the 7X for the high voltage voltage battery is protected by an 8-year or 200,000 kilometer, which is about 125,000 mile warranty, whichever comes first. To compare, Tesla's base Model Y comes with 8 years or 100,000 miles, and all other Model Y variants come with an 8-year or 120,000 miles. So the 7X and the Model Y are quite comparable, but Zeekr's is a bit better, at least for the high voltage battery. Zeekr also has the same battery retention warranty in that if your state of health drops below 70% of original capacity in the first 8 years of ownership, it'll be replaced, repaired, or reconditioned for free. I already shared my thoughts last week about all of the trade-offs with batteries and why I think Tesla is doing what it's doing, but I am curious, what do you guys think? Are you upset that Tesla is not pushing forward a bit more when it comes to battery packs and charging rates? We thought this might be coming when it was delayed, but it's now official. VW has canceled the plans to bring its ID.7 to the US and Canada. A VW spokesperson said it's because of the ongoing challenging EV climate. Franz, Lars, and Jay Leno will be putting out a new video about the new Model Y and all of the great updates sometime in the near future. This was one of the more satisfying community notes that I've seen as of late. Dan O'Dowd was trying to diminish Tesla's achievement with their autonomous vehicles from the factory line to their outbound lot by saying that Mercedes, BMW, and Xiaomi have all been doing this for 7 years. He goes, the deluded Tesla cultists think it's something so amazing only Tesla could do it. Well, Dan, that's because only Tesla can do it. The community notes say, I work at BMW, the cars are controlled externally and are not driving themselves. From BMW, unlike autonomous driving in road traffic, the vehicles do not guide themselves using their built-in sensors, but instead use sensors along the factory route. So, good try, Dan O'Dowd. And no, I didn't come up with that name. I saw Ray for Tesla use it, wanted to pass it along. On that front, Troy Jones, who works at Tesla Sales and Service, said, imagine a world where your car drives itself directly from the manufacturing line to your driveway, which at some point should indeed massively change the logistics situation for Tesla. FSD 12.6.3 is rolling out to Hardware 3 owners, and FSD 13.2.6 is rolling out to AI4 owners. These waves do include all models. The Slip Test YouTube channel got their hands on a Cybertruck and put it through its paces. Talking about this test, Wes shared an important reminder: every all-wheel drive vehicle is not equal. It comes down to the method of distributing power. And he clarified, with the lockers engaged, the Cybertruck can drive with traction only on any single tire. This is because the wheels are mechanically locked together, so it's easy to get the power to the right spot. And Wes was sharing this post that said, I'm very impressed with the results of the Cybertruck in that test, and it's one of the best results I've ever seen. Do not sleep on the importance of this feature of EVs. I can't tell you how many times this winter people have asked me how my Tesla handles in the snow, and it's a great opportunity to share the truth about how electric motors have excellent precision, and all Tesla vehicles, including the Cybertruck, are great with traction control. Brett from Figure has shared that they signed their second commercial customer. They now see potential of shipping 100,000 humanoid robots over the next 4 years. On the commercial side, Figure is focused on a small number of clients and growing vertically with that small group rather than spreading out across many, which of course makes sense. He said their newest customer is one of the biggest US companies. In time, I'll do a segment with a bit more detail about Figure, but for now, I'm very curious, what do you guys think of Brett and what do you think of Figure? Just a heads up, the white interior for the launch series Model Y is now sold out in the US. It's only one state right now, New Jersey, but they're considering new legislation that would make it illegal to park a fuel-powered car in an EV charging stall. The fine, depending on number of violations, could be up to $200. Tesla stock was having a pretty strong day today until the news about the tariffs came in, and then it was downhill from there, but still ended the day in the green up 1.08% at $404.60, while the Nasdaq was down 0.28%. It was an average volume day. Tesla just placed its 1,000th supercharger in Sweden at a new V4 site with solar that just opened today. Hope you guys have a safe and a wonderful weekend. Please like the video if you did. You can find me on X linked below, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.